Friends. So this is another session on anatomy of quarantine economy with special reference to IT sector. And today we have with us Mr. Sanjay Harpawat, who has a wide 25 years experience in IT sector. He has worked in USA for almost 20 years, and now since last 4-5 years he is in India, but traveling to across the globe, a wide experience holder. He has worked with Ernest Young, Price Waterhouse, and since now he is having his own consulting with many of the major groups across the globe like Disney, ICICI Bank, Reliance Industries, Shell. So today we will be having a introduction session with him with reference to the impact of COVID-19 on the economy, especially with reference to the IT sector. So Mr. Sanjay, welcome to our session and thanks for your timing.
Thank you, Anshul. Thanks for inviting me to the TubeCast.
Yeah. So my question would be that first and foremost, what do you think? What is the impact on the IT sector? And especially in India, we do have a big IT sector in Bangalore, Chennai, Hyderabad areas also. So what do you think? What will be the impact in near future?
So, with COVID, the situation is there is going to be a lot of impact, the short-term impact, in terms of that, the IT sector's development projects will either get shifted or, there will be curtailments in terms of overall budgets. Having said that, there will be a short-term impact, but in the long term, I think, from India perspective, India has globally not set its eyes on the productization of the business. So eventually in the long run, people will look at productizing and get a little bit out of purely outsourcing and support works. So it will balance out in the future, but short-term impact, yeah, it's going to be pretty huge.
Okay. If we see the data that 2008, there was a recession and a crisis. So do you think this crisis will be bigger than 2008 recession in India, or is it somewhat same?
So again, if you look at overall IT business, there are greenfield areas, upcoming areas like cloud computing, artificial intelligence, big data. Then there are, the traditional areas of outsourcing, core development, stuff like that. So yes, in the short term, there will be huge impact because we have focused on outsourcing and traditional development methodologies in the past years. But going forward, I think, if we start focusing on these greenfield areas of AI, cloud computing, there are huge opportunities. So in the short term, yes, the impact will be, same or even more than 2008 financial crisis. But in the long term, it's an opportunity where we can gain and eventually, balance out and, focus on some of, developing the products, focusing on these AI and, cloud computing areas, which are fast growth areas.
Okay. Agencies like McKinsey or MK Global, who are specialized in IT analysis, they have just reverted back that in 2008, when this crisis was the recession, the first half of 2008 was relatively bad. But again, in 2009, the first half was much worse as compared to the second half of the 2008. So they realized that impact was really bad after 6 months on the IT sector, which showed a downfall in the stock market, which showed a downfall and layoff in the jobs and everything in first half of the 2009. So are we expecting similar in this situation that second half of 2020 will be a bad and 2021 first half might be worst?
So if we segregate it based on half yearly performances, I would say this quarter is going to be pretty bad just because it's a psychological impact where people are going to curtail, people are going to lay off, they are going to shorten or reduce their budgets toward projects. But at least 2 quarters there will be huge impact, and then slowly it will start gaining back. Especially if we start focusing on some of the high growth companies in, as I said, in AI and cloud computing areas, we can recoup some of these this lost business. So I don't know about year end, but definitely next 2 quarters are going to be really bad, and then slowly the curve will start getting up, and hopefully in 2021 we will be in a bad shape.
If you see IT industry, USA has been considered as the birthplace of IT, and tech giants are all available in USA. Second place comes to Canada, who are again popular destination for the IT industry. Maybe UK, you can say a technical area for the IT sector. So And all these currently are very badly affected with the COVID-19. USA, every day we are looking at a lot of death tolls happening there. Same with the Euro. So are we in a position that we can say that India is in a better position currently? And there is a positive chance that Indian IT sector might boom in this condition across the globe.
I would say absolutely. India has, in terms of grabbing these opportunities and moving into the product business. I think it's an excellent opportunity for India to get into accelerate their presence in the cloud computing area. There's a lot of migration that is happening to cloud computing that can be accelerated. Business can be gained there. Artificial intelligence and robotics process automation, those are two greenfield areas. India has the manpower, the strength, the all the technical know-how and everything to move into these high growth areas and recoup and get a lot of opportunities. So absolutely yes, India is in a better position to gain some of this business, establish their position, and go into the IP side of the business rather than just purely working on the outsourcing and labor arbitrage kind of business.
Okay. How far do you think that currently due to the lockdown, people are working from home? So do you think practically in IT sector also work from home can work, considering all the situations what is in India? Do you think it is practical for the IT industry to work from home?
IT is probably the only industry where if you theoretically, if you want, almost 95% business can be done online. Only 5% of the business where you need client interactions, human interactions, that is 5% of the business. So yeah, we are in IT business in the best position to really work online and get 90 to 95% work done.
Okay, there is a small difference in the opinion. If you see TCS currently, they have only given permission 40% of their staff to work from home. And there are few constraints which they have come up. Is first, infrastructure across India to work from home, the internet availability also. Second thing, one most data of IT sector, the secrecy of the IT sector, that is another constraint which they have come upon. And the third one is they are not in a position because of the new projects, because initially they have to do the meetings with the client and everything, and that requires the personal face-to-face touch. So do you think with these three constraints also home to work can work in?
So let's talk about point by point. Obviously when I say that 90-95% work can be done, I'm assuming that we have the right infrastructure. So there is no question that without the right bandwidths, without the right infrastructure, it becomes difficult. And that's probably that's a bottleneck right now. But with 5G coming in, all the technology that's getting placed, that we can handle and take care in the future. Coming down to again traditionally, if you look at TCS, Infosys, the pros of the world, they've traditionally focused on a lot of outsourcing business, which is primarily a labor arbitrage kind of business. Labor arbitrage business, slowly, has been so much commoditized that only 40-50% what they're saying is probably right. But if you look at high growth areas, once you come into cloud computing, migrating companies to cloud computing, if you look at AI, RPA development on that side, a lot of that work, when I say 90-95%, I'm talking about these high growth areas. They can be handled given the right conditions, right infrastructure, and support from the government.
Okay. Now, what do you think about the layoff situation? Whether IT sector will also be doing this layoff in coming times? Can we see that?
Absolutely. There is, unfortunately, there is going to be impact all across the board when, manufacturing stops, when, there is a complete halt in terms of supply chains getting totally disintegrated. It is eventually, going to impact IT. There will be layoffs, there will be curtailments. But as I said, hopefully, this is a temporary cycle. IT sector is one of the sectors which is probably, in a best position to recoup when, lockdowns are removed, when we get, when COVID-19 situation is behind us. This will be the first sector which can come back again and, have a high growth, which probably will be, at least 2 to 3 quarters down the road.
Okay, so do you feel that the flexi staff, which is a major staff employment in IT sector, or temporary staffs which are being used, so they will see the retrenchment or layoff first, or how it will be?
Well, it's a natural tendency for companies to lay off the flexi staff first and then look at their own, permanent employees. But I think, it should be a combination of both. IT sector, there are projects which are critical in nature. You know, there are companies, companies can't survive without IT infrastructure. So there is mission critical kind of infrastructure that needs to be managed. And then there are good to have projects, or future projects that are coming up. So looking at the situation, if your flexi staff or your permanent employees, whoever are with critical kind of projects and businesses, that's what we need to retain. And then we can look at instead of layoffs, we can look at long-term work for the other staff, and probably layoffs will happen uh, with flexi, but we should probably balance it out. That's my thought.
Maybe the coming up projects which are in pipeline, do you feel that in this, where there is a lockdown across the globe and no traveling is there, the international or domestic, do you think that the projects which are in pipeline will get materialized in next quarter or half year, or it will be postponed for the next 2021?
So again, it depends on the nature of the project. I think, as I was saying, there will be projects are of two natures. One is critical projects, and then there are projects which are good to have. Mostly the good to have projects will definitely be deferred and moved forward at least a couple of quarters. But it's an opportunity where the critical projects such as cloud computing companies, a lot of companies are migrating to cloud. This will only accelerate, and there will be a lot of work that will get generating in the near quarters. So companies should capitalize on that, and companies who are into moving to cloud computing kind of business will definitely benefit.
If you see in 2002 and 2005 years, the percentage of IT sector which contributed to the GDP of India used to be 1 to 1.5%, and today it has grown to almost 8 to 9% of the GDP. So do you feel that with this downfall, there will be a cut in this percentage of contribution also?
I don't think, from a purely GDP perspective, the impact is going to be all across the board. So, IT sector dominance will only increase. People are only, they've already realized, today IT drives, the profitability, the core, it has become a core side of the business. So it's only going to increase. It's not going to decrease. But in the short term, yes, everybody is impacted. So, there would be some impact. And then, I think it's going to accelerate moving forward.
Okay, you have been doing consultancy for your clients like Shell or Disney and ICICI Reliance Industries. So have you got some feedback from them or some slowdown effect to you also for this?
So, again, we are in enterprise performance management. A lot of our business is, kind of critical to companies. So we have not seen, a huge impact. Obviously, there is some impact because, because of the lockdown, there are interruptions and things. So there is 10-20% impact, but more or less, from an enterprise performance management business, we are still in good shape.
Okay, so can we conclude that maybe this year, probably first and second quarter of this financial year might be a slowdown, but again, the IT industry might come back very in a perfect manner as it is, right?
Absolutely, that's my thought process. And again, not only that, companies need to now accelerate and capitalize on the greenfield areas like cloud computing and AI. Those will be the areas of high growth in the future.
Any suggestions that you would like to make for the IT sectors, that how to cope up with this environment or current situation?
Well, I always think that everything, a challenge always comes, there is a greater seed of benefit there. So every adversity has a greater seed of benefit. We should look at moving into the product space from a purely Indian IT perspective, and look at developing a lot of IP for our companies. Look at these high growth greenfield areas, probably move our businesses in those sites, and take it as an opportunity for the future and increase our overall role from the global perspective.
Okay, let's hope that this will be a positive time and coming times will be a good time. So take care of yourself and the family, and thank you very much for your time. Thank you.
Thank you, Anshul. Thanks for having me.